If you wouldn't mind just having your microphones on mute, um, that would be helpful. I'm going to give it just a minute or two, just to allow some people to trickle in. But in the meantime, I'll just set a little ground rules, and I'll probably repeat myself a few times here on the basics, just so everybody gets it. But thank you for coming here to make your website work for you. This is a hybrid webinar and Q&A session. So it's an opportunity to listen to some great speakers, get some great advice and information. And then at the end, we will open up to anyone who might want to ask any question or get some clarification on anything that was said, or maybe you having a challenge or a struggle with your web presence and you'd like to ask a question. That's what you're here for. We'll do that at the end. So predominantly, we're all going to be listening to three of our speakers here today. We'll probably have that wrapped up within the first hour, and then we'll dedicate the last half hour to any kind of questions that we might have for some interactive part. So once again, I'm going to repeat myself a few times just so as people trickle in. My name is Josh, for those who are just joining us. I am the creator of Grassroots Consulting. I've been a web developer and consultant for small business owners and individual entrepreneurs for about 15 years. I provide all kinds of solutions from hosting to design, development, branding, messaging, marketing. And also, I founded a group called the Webheads, and that's who we are. You see us with our funky, cool backgrounds. We are a portion of our team. We are a collaborative, collective of individual, independent web professionals. Most of us have an average about 15 or 20 years experience. And we basically got together to just educate the general public, share some of our insights in different areas of all things digital, and most importantly, be available to help anyone who has any challenges with any questions they might need or support they might need. And so we offer just a free complimentary phone call with each and every one of us is available. If by the end of this, you decide maybe you want to have a conversation with one or more of us to talk about your specific needs, we'll be giving you our contact information at different times during this event. So it's not there's no sales agenda here other than to be available to give you all some great advice, get to know who we are, and ultimately help you if you need the help and put you in the right direction for some of those challenges. I would like to start by introducing the Webheads, just a brief introduction for everybody, and then I'll share a little ground rules again for how today's going to go, and then we'll get started. Let's start with Sue.
Hi, I'm Sue LaChapelle, and I'm coming to you from Maui, where I work remote. I'm a graphic designer with over 30 years experience helping organizations develop strong brands and reach their target audiences through website redesign, digital marketing, social media, and print. I've worked with a wide range of clients from Fortune 50 to small businesses and entrepreneurs. I'm passionate about design and committed to helping businesses succeed.
Thank you, Sue. Pia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pia Civiletti of Centium Associates, and I work with my customers to strategize a plan for their business that includes their branding, their marketing plan, the websites, and graphics and social media that goes along with that.
Thank you, Pia. And Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff Severson, owner of JTS Design Inc. I'm a web developer. I've been in business for over 20 years, and I'm in the Hudson Valley region of New York.
Thank you, Jeff. All right. So, like I said, we are a collective of web developers and digital professionals to come together. I understand there's probably other digital professionals in the room with us today. So thank you for being here. This is not a traditional sort of a networking event. So if you were expecting that, that's not exactly what this is. It's more of an educational event and an opportunity to help and support those who may need some support with their web presence. However, we love partnership and we love expanding membership. So if you are a web developer and you're here and you see opportunities to collaborate with any one of us, absolutely take advantage of one of our offers for a phone call so we can get to know you and get to know what you do and see how we can collaborate. I think it's really important. form collaborations, and that's one thing that we're really all about. So the only thing I'll say before we get started with the presentations here, which will be about 7 or 8 to 10 minutes each, pretty brief, but cover a lot of great stuff, is I just want to acknowledge who might be in the room. Typically, we have people here with us that are falling into a couple categories. They're either just getting started and they're trying to get information about some best practices or things they can do, or they have a specific questions. Some people have already started and they're trying to do it on their own, and they're running into some walls and some difficulty in doing it all on yourself. So you're looking for who might be a good support avenue for you, or a good company to work with. And others of you may have already started working with digital professionals, and perhaps your experience has been less than satisfactory, and you're really looking for somebody else to work with. And of course, the fourth category is digital professionals themselves. So I presume most of us are going to fall into these categories, and this information is going to basically work for everybody. We're going to be talking about trends, and we're going to be talking about some security and technical things. And just to give a taste about who we are and what some of our expertise and perspective is. But ultimately, our goal is to connect with you. So if after this event or at any point during the event, you want to connect with us, just look in the chat. We will put our contact information. And once again, we'll have a Q&A and introductory portion after the talk. So if you want to ask a question or introduce yourself, you'll have an opportunity to do that. But for the most part, please, if you could stay on mute and just let everybody do their screen shares and presentations, that would be great. Okay, that's enough rules. Let's have a little fun. Okay, let's start with our first presenter, Sue. You can come and share your screen.
Great. All right, give me a second here. All right, can everyone see my my screen there? Get a thumbs up, maybe. Yay, thank you. So again, I'm Sue LaChapelle, and I am a graphic designer with over 30 years of experience. So I've worked with a lot of different clients in different industries. So with the small businesses, what we're going to try to do is just give you some good tips and some things you can look at. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Because in today's digital landscape, having a strong and effective website is essential for small businesses to successfully compete and reach their target audiences. A well-designed website can effectively engage existing customers while attracting new ones. In order to achieve this success, your website should not only be visually appealing, but engaging. It also needs to provide valuable content and services that are relevant to your target audience. So taking the time to plan your website carefully and implement some of these tips, it'll help you create a website that'll help you achieve your goals. So we're going to start with, how do users react to bad design? And so whether consciously or not, we all react to visuals, and people are naturally drawn to good design. When it comes to your website design, studies have shown again and again that users quickly judge your business based on visuals and visuals alone. Sometimes a poorly designed website will lose customers because people can't find things. So here's a few stats. 33% don't return to a website with too much content, 80% leave with poor display. And the main thing about all these is that you may never get that customer back. So this is really important that you have a website that's visually appealing, and it's better to go with less than more, because if it's overcrowded, then people can't find what they're looking for. So the first thing we're going to talk about, that one fast, is design your website with the user in mind. And so in every business, your customers are the most important facet that you need to focus on. That's why you need to keep them in mind when creating it. WIIFM is a term used in marketing and advertising to describe what audiences will get out of using or buying your product. So when someone comes to your site, they want to know, what's in it for me? So here's a quick example of for Mac. This is supercharged for pros. So if you're on a Mac, this shows that this is the most powerful. Now, this isn't for everybody. And so if you're not a Mac person, they're not talking to you. But if they are, then you know what the benefit is when you come, and that they're targeting their audience. The second is if you've ever seen the Shave It Club, they show you the why. So you get top shelf product, you're always in control. So it directly shows you what the benefits are. So focus on the benefit of using your products and services instead of just listing features. Also, it's not about how great you are, it's about what you can do for them. So while your mom likes to see that, your users, they don't necessarily. So the second is use consistent branding. So research shows that 71% of customers say they're more likely to buy a product or services from a brand they recognize. And it doesn't have to be a big brand, it's just something that they have seen. So when customers see your logo, color scheme, and visual style, and it's consistent across the different mediums, they're going to start to associate it with your brand. So businesses with brand consistency are 3.5 more times visible to their customers, which can help your business stand out in a crowd and to prospects. So here's one, of course, everyone knows the red for Coke. So if they change their color to yellow, you wouldn't associate it with it. So you can see is how they use it throughout their branding. So this next one, let's see, 3 is make your call to action stand out. So a call to action is also referred as a CTA. It's a digital marketing strategy to get website visitors to take a desired action, like buy a product or subscribing to a newsletter. As a small business, it's important to have a website that not only looks good, but drives results. So you want one that converts. So one of the best ways to do this is to incorporate an effective call to action. And you want these to be specific, not just learn more, but you want to sign up for a newsletter, download a resource, something else that's specific to what they're looking for, or what you want them to do. One small business website design tip is use clear and compelling language. So your call to action should be clear about what you want them to do. So let me show you some examples. So here's one from Playbook. They want you to create a free playbook. So you can see that's a number of places. There's other content in their navigation, but it at least shows you what this is the one thing they want you to do. Another example is this, where they want you to get started without a credit card. So this is something that shows the customer that there's no obligation and that I'm not going to take something from you without giving it to you. And here's one. So this is from Harvard Health Publishing, and thanks for visiting. Don't miss your free gift. And it's encouraging, saying, I want to get healthier. So it shows something that, yes, some of the ones are funny. I don't know if recently I saw one that says, no, I want to pay full price. So it was for a discount code. So there's fun things that you can do for people to make them think twice, not just click here. The next is to include customer testimonials. So 92% of customers read online testimonials and reviews when buying a product. So quote testimonials are the simplest way to display customer testimonials. Customers share their experience about your product or service in a short written quote. So for businesses, what's nice is that you want to also make sure that these testimonials say something, not just, oh, Sue was great to work with, but Sue listened to what my goals and she was able to meet those within my budget. So that gives them very specific things about what they used you and why. So it's not just, oh, she was really nice. That doesn't tell you anything. So even though it might be, it's not that's not why people necessarily will buy your product or why they look at the testimonials. So here's the Facebook reviews and a testimonial. And the stars are nice. You can also include those in your graphics if they don't already come with the testimonials that you're pulling from. The other is to be able to do a more of a case study. And so this is a good testimonial as well. This shows how people are using your product. And this is really good for businesses that do creative solutions, so that it's not so much of, oh, that this met my my expectation, but this is a better way to show people how to use you. So if you are if you help solve a problem, or if you're in a niche or something where you can say is, hey, this is how I do it different. These are a great way to be able to show that. So the next 5, design with accessibility in mind. So a good business website must be accessible to everyone, and it must be able to accommodate individuals with auditory, cognitive, visual, and motor disabilities. So Here's some websites that are, from a usability standpoint and a design standpoint, accessible and visually interesting. So there's some things you want to be, some characteristics are contrasting color. You want the navigation of the site to be intuitive and easy. You want to make sure you use alt text on the images. And you want to make sure that your videos have some captions. So as you can see on these aren't super simple designs, but you can see that there's good contrast and they score well on the accessibility rating. There are some sites that you can put your website through to see how accessible it is. And if you need any of those, please let me know. 6, above the fold. So to me, this is old school because I said this to someone about a week and a half ago, and they didn't know what I was talking about because they were young. So above the fold is from the old newspaper days, where in order to attract an audience, they have to get your attention by grabbing headlines and content that's on the top of the page because you may never flip it over. So this is the most important part of a website. And so even though it's becoming more complex, before people have to scroll, you want them to get pertinent information. So even though you cannot technically fold your website, it's just where you scroll. So this shows you all the information is above the fold. So here's another one. Almost you have your join, you have your subscribe, you have your navigation, as well as you have your social media links. 7, landing pages. These are my favorite. So landing page is a web page designed to persuade a user to take a specific action. For example, having users sign up for a newsletter, purchase a product, RSVP for an event. So like your homepage, landing pages are often the first experience a visitor will have with your website. But home pages and landing pages have different purposes. So homepage contains general information about your company, and there's a gateway to all the other pages in your site. Landing pages, on the other hand, can be standalone pages, but they're focused on driving conversion. So in other words, landing pages are where you turn visitors into leads and customers. Home pages may also have multiple calls to action. So encouraging visitors to browse your site, check out product or services, or sign up for a newsletter. So here's an example of a landing page. Grow your business with content marketing in 2023. So these landing pages typically are from your email newsletter, social media, anywhere that you can drive people with a very specific action. So this wants you to sign up. Here's the next one from a client. You can see that one is an email, one is social, and then this line brings you to the landing page. Similar content brings you there and gets people to sign up for the class. 8, videos on your website. So videos on your website can help you attract more visitors and rank higher and keep customers engaged. 80% of marketers say that video has helped them increase traffic, and 82% agree that video has helped increase stickiness on the site. So video content is a powerful technique to connect with your potential customers. It can also help you rank higher, improve user experience, and differentiate yourself from your competitors. So here's an example of Rolex. So Rolex, as we know, they're all about craftsmanship. Look at how beautiful this is. The watches themselves are a piece of artwork. They take pride in the quality. So as you can see is in the video, they're showing you very close up how this works. Look at how this moves. It's very, the colors, everything is very visually soothing, and it makes it look like this is very high end. Here's a little bit opposite. So the spring offer is now live. So this makes you want to jump around. Obviously, you're going to have to get moving. So you can download their app from the store. This also shows them using the product, which is a great way for many small businesses to be able to attract people, especially businesses that are handcrafted, handmade. So I know I talked with someone who did knitting, and so for her to show that all her things were handmade, she can show herself making them. So this is in the background with the download in front of it. So this one kind of cracks me up. So this is a UK's most thrilling theme park. So this makes you excited to go there. And so the roller coaster, if you're a roller coaster person, this gives you, without being in there, you can see the faces and the expression, and it makes you want to be part of their, to go to the park. All right, optimize for search engines. So SEO is a huge topic within itself. And so I'm just going to touch on a couple things, but it is essential to your website to optimize for conversion in search engines, because this helps your business get higher rankings in search engines and improves your overall site quality. One of the things that's the most important for search engines is that you have your Google My Business or Google Business profile set up for local search. You can do whatever to your website, but if you don't have that set up, that's going to hurt you the most. So I have an SEO checklist here, and you guys can sign up to get the presentations after. There's a couple of things to make sure they're doing. And even if you're not doing the development, this is something to ask your developer about how they're doing it, and it's a checklist for you. And then the other thing is you want to make sure that you know your keywords and your string of keywords for what you're optimizing for. That's really important in search engines. More than once, I'll talk with the client, we get a list of their keywords and we look in their site and they really don't have them in their site. And it sounds kind of crazy, but people don't say their business name. They just keep saying we. And so their name isn't going to come up. So it's really important to make sure that you have your relevant keywords. If you're location-based, you want to make sure that you have that area, as well as not just single words, but a string of words. And 10, the last one, is mobile, keeping mobile users in mind, so mobile friendly. So in today's digital landscape, it's more important to design your website both desktop and mobile users in mind. With more and more people using mobile devices to access the internet, it's essential that your business website is responsive and can be viewed on all screens. And there's a difference between with the mobile responsive and the website and that you'd view on the desktop or on an iPad or on your device doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the same because it's a different experience when you're on your phone. So, excuse me. So here's the desktop version. And so this would be the mobile version without it being responsive. You can see that you can't move around, and then you can see that it's stacked. Oops, this is moving through here. It's stacked in the mobile version. So a live version would be this. So the left this is not mobile, and this is mobile. So if you have to use your fingers to make things bigger and smaller, it's not mobile. The other is, it's on here, you'll see the call us and find us. Some of these, you may move those up in your mobile version to make people do things. I see people that have QR codes that are coming up on the phones. Well, if you're on your phone, you can't use a QR code to scan. So those are some things to think about to make sure that your site is user-friendly and that it is mobile responsive. So those are top 10 tips. I will put my my information in the chat. I offer a 30-minute consultation discovery call to people if you are interested in talking a little bit. If you have a question, happy to talk with you. So thanks.
All right. Thank you, Sue. So much great information, especially you know, there's always an urge to sometimes be really creative and out of the box with your web presence, but the reality is there's some good data and some good statistics that support kind of modern best practices. And when you follow them, you'd be surprised at what a difference it can make. Many of us have experienced having a client, and all we did was basically revamp even their homepage sometimes with some of these elements, and you start to see conversions happen and even traffic start pulling in. You know, ugly websites don't really work in a lot of ways, but really, really well planned, well thought out, user-friendly ones do. So thank you, Sue, and take her up definitely on her offer when she posts her contact information. All of our offers to you today are basically complimentary conversations, so we can get to know a little bit more about you, share a little bit more about us, and guide you in the right direction, give you some great advice, tips or strategies, or even be available if you want to actually work with a web developer. Let's move on to our next speaker, Pia. Pia is going to continue the conversation with some more great trends.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. And hopefully everybody can see my screen. Good. All right. Awesome. All right. So today I'm going to be talking about the hot marketing trends for 2023, and then a little bit about the 2024, what's coming up. Now, keep in mind that marketing trends kind of connect from year to year. So they evolve, and they may start in one year, but then they may spill over into other years. So just keep that in mind, that if you start something, don't think that, oh, now I'm gonna have to do something totally brand new in the new year. So it doesn't really work that way. All right, so let's go ahead and see if I can get this to, there we go. Okay, so for 2023, the people and content trends started out with being purpose driven, right? So people want to see that you're connected to your community. And if you're national, right, it doesn't, be connected in some way. What do you support? What do you stand for? That really gives your client base or prospects something to, another way for them to connect with you. The other one is youth-centered marketing. So as you know, right, the Gen Zers really grew up in the computer industry, and they're always on a computer. They're the ones that are, started out on, doing lots of videos and TikToks and all this kind of stuff, but they are now getting older, and they're starting to buy products and buy services. So if you have a product or service that does make sense to the Gen Z, ages, then you might want to look at how you're doing your marketing, right? So if you are used to marketing to people who are maybe 30s, 40s, 50s and above, you might want to think about how you're wording things, how you're presenting your organization, because obviously there's certain things that are going to be more attractive to the younger geographic group than the older. One thing that's been really interesting is the long-term influencer partnerships. Now, I know all of you probably have seen on Facebook and YouTube, you have famous people come out and talk about, different products or things they're using. And for a lot of us, that is not a possibility, right? To be able to pay $50,000, $100,000, $1 million to someone who's really famous to talk about your product or service. But there are a lot of influencers that are on a smaller scale, and maybe they're on Facebook, maybe they even just have a podcast, or maybe they could be in your industry, maybe, and they just have a lot of people following them in your particular industry. They're still influencers. So partnering with organizations that don't necessarily maybe compete with you, but are in your same industry, or an industry that may align with you, right, is a really inexpensive usually, and maybe you could do kind of like a trading type of thing, and a very helpful way to get your business service or product out there. So following that is with your videos, with your writing, with the look and feel for your website, is making sure that you're being authentic. And especially, I would have to say this, especially for the Gen Zers and younger, they really don't like it when they see something that seems like they're fake, or someone's pretending to be something they're not. They really pick that out and they just move on. So being conversational and your authentic self, kind of showing a little bit of your personality and who you are, because you're not going to work with everybody, or you may not sell to everybody, but you may get a really good group of loyal customers because they like who you are, what you represent, and how you communicate to them. Okay, and that's, having a loyal customers is a really, really great thing. Having story-driven content is also, so along the lines of being authentic and conversational and honest, is being able to tell stories, right? Something that relates to your customer base. Could be even a story about you, but it relates to them. Or, hey, I went through this, maybe you're going through this too. I know how to fix what you're going through. Or just stories that make sense to your target audience. And doing blogs, doing videos, anything like that, podcasts, talking about these different types of stories or examples is really helpful to draw in your target audience. And we all have heard about the AI stuff, right? That's all year. Everybody's talking about AI, right? People using GPT, which probably is the most popular, but there's tons of AI applications. And if you notice, applications that aren't necessarily AI now have AI components to them. So they're all, advertising, hey, check us out, check the new AI component of our applications. I'm seeing that really come up with a lot of different types of companies that have either online applications or online services even. And this is something to look at. It doesn't mean that you have to switch everything over into something that's AI, but take a look at it, understand how it works, and then, look at it and say, will this work for me? Will it help me save time? Will it help me, get attraction from my target audience? So, sometimes maybe right now it's not time for you, but it's really a good idea to just get yourself at least familiar with it, because it's probably not going to go away, and it's going to grow bigger and bigger. So the last thing that's people and content related in trends is the SERP, right? Which is the search engine results pages. And so Google, as you know, makes changes all the time with their algorithms and how they serve up the information that you get when you're searching. So what they moved into is that obviously, when you do ads, you go to the top, but they are really looking for organizations that provide real solid information. Things like FAQs and lists that answer a question that maybe someone's going to the search engine looking for, numbered lists, tables, videos, infographics, anything that's really kind of makes it easy for Google to feed that information on the search page to say that, hey, this website gives you a complete answer to the question, or to the bunch of words that you're putting into the Google search engine. These websites are doing the best job. So if you have this type of information on your website, you're more than likely to be served sooner than later. And the change with Google, if you notice, is that you don't have to necessarily go to page 1, page 2, page 3. It's just kind of an ongoing thing, and just create more info, and they keep on adding on to the bottom. So they're definitely changing a lot of stuff. Now, the one item I wanted to talk about was the .0, which you might not know what that is that those are when someone searches for something, and you have the ads first, and then you have the kind of the SEO rated type of things. The .0 is that in between. It's really what is going to be that FAQ, the bulleted list, those things that I list there. That's called the .0 position. If you can get yourself in that position, that's a great position to get in, because you didn't pay for an ad, but you're getting essentially top position in the search engine, right after the ads. So it's always a good thing to think about. So, look at your website and think of how you can change maybe some of your information over to, if someone was going to go to a search engine and put in a question or search for something, how could I arrange the information to be able to get it, served up by Google quicker? All right, moving on. Okay, yeah, audio trends. So as you know that, people have been on the computer more and more, especially after COVID. So being online and doing things online is just really, the way to go anymore. So in the past year, podcasts have become really important, right? They're really out there. There's tons of applications you can have on your phone, on the computer, that you can record podcasts. It allows you to build an audience that is very interested in the area that you're talking to. It also allows you to have guests come on. If you do a weekly podcast, you can have different guests coming on, which would attract different audiences as well. A lot of times when you have guests, they'll advertise your podcast to their audience as well, because they're going to say, hey, come see me. I'm talking on this particular podcast. So if it makes sense for your business, podcasts are a really great thing. Audio advertising has gotten really much bigger too, is that advertising either on podcast or even YouTube and things like that, where people are going to see and hear your ads in between different videos, as well as smart speaker advertising. So if you have Alexa or Siri, any of those type of apps that people use, or units, right, that you have in your house where you just ask a question and they come up with the answer, doing that kind of advertising on there is also something that, because people are just kind of moving about their day, they might be listening to music, they're doing things, so you're kind of catching them when they're relaxed and maybe they're not necessarily working on something, so they may, you know, pay attention, and especially if they hear it more than once. And visual trends. So visual trends is obviously not going to go away. 65% of people are visual learners. Right there, it tells you this is a big idea, a big deal to do something visual for your customers. And one of the other stats I really like is 85% are more apt to buy your product after watching a video that you do about it. So it really pays to start looking at either doing, you could do live streaming, you know, now you have Facebook, you could do TikTok, or you do something recorded on YouTube, having different types of videos on your website, on posting them on social media, maybe if it's even just an excerpt of your video, putting it on social media, as well as doing things that on your website that are interactive. So if you have a product or service where you can create a quiz, like the big thing now you see on Facebook is weight loss quizzes, or, you know, anything that's related to health, or you know, improving your lifestyle, things like that. They put these quizzes out there, and then at the end they serve you up with, well, this is, you know, we have your answer, like, we know what you need, put your email here, we'll send you the plan, and then you go and you buy some product or service from them, right? Doing different games, keeping them engaged, you know, different kind of calculators. Like I have a customer that sells greenhouses, and then they created a calculator that shows how much you could save using one of their greenhouses, right? So if you have something you could do that, people love to do these type of things, right? Polls, virtual reality, which is really becoming a big deal, surveys, any of those different kind of things is something that you can get your potential clients to interact with your website more, right? Get them more interested. Visuals, audio, and interaction, right? Simulations, kind of simulating who is your target audience and what kind of things are they going through. So simulating the place where your potential customers are and bringing them through something that they may be experiencing really then, you know, connects you with them. And they're like, hey, this person or this business gets me. They understand where I'm coming from. So that's another thing that's you know, really big. And I think this is, you know, it's kind of, you know, apparent. You see that there's so much visual stuff going on nowadays, and videos have gotten, you know, really cool, especially because of the advancement in videography, and being able to combine videography with doing graphics and combining different videos together and making things look like almost like you're doing, you know, a full-fledged movie, you know, like Iron Man or something like that. You can make your videos look as cool as that nowadays. Let's see. Okay, data trends. So in the past year, the data privacy rules have become a little bit stricter, and saying that, you know, third-party cookies are no longer available. And if you notice, when you go to the websites, you'll see a little banner that pops up, slides through or something, or sometimes you can't go any further unless you either accept or reject the use of third-party cookies. And, you know, it's probably helpful that you just go ahead and put that up there. Sometimes you're like, do I even use third-party cookies? Most of the time, if you're doing any kind of marketing on your website, you probably are using third-party cookies, and that is a requirement to be able to put that up there so they can accept it or reject it. The other thing that's really cool is geolocation, geofencing, right? So this is really great for organizations that have local businesses, and you can use it in other ways, but for local businesses, you can geolocate your customers and serve them up ads when they walk into a certain particular location. And we actually have an expert in this in the webheads as well. And so this is a new thing for a lot of us using this kind of marketing, but it's really something that pinpoints your customers wherever they are. They could be walking down the street, and everybody's walking down the street on their phones like this, because you end up bumping into them a lot of times, right? So why not get them where they are? If they're a street or a couple streets over from you, and you serve them an ad, they're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm close to that. Oh, yeah, I'd like to check out a new coffee shop, or a new clothing store, something like, or someone's having a sale. Oh, I'm going to run over there right now because I'm close by. So this is a really cool way to do advertising if you have something that is you can get your prospects where they are, right, location wise. All right, so that was 2023. Now, those 2023 things are all still valid. They're going to move on to 2024 as well. So if you started any of those, or you're interested in any of those, they're still all good to go and get going. Looking forward to 2024, we're starting to look into some other things, right? So contextual advertising is when you place ads on a web page that has content that's related to the ads. So in the past, you might have noticed that you might go on websites and you just get bombarded with all these different ads. They have nothing to do with the website that you're actually on. And so a lot of times you're either you scroll and you go, oh, I want that. You start shopping based on all the ads, or you go, oh, this is a pain in the butt, and you're closing all the, you're Xing out of everything. So now they're looking at and saying, okay, if you're going to serve up an ad to somebody who's interested in on a web page reading information, you might as well serve them something that's related to the information that they're actually reading. So that's going to be something that's really becoming popular in 2024. And continuing from 2023 is the AI era, and also machine learning. So there are applications that are learning every time anybody in the whole world goes on the internet and does certain things. They track where they're going, how they're going. Even your website, you can track where they're going, moving their mouse to. They don't even have to click. You can just see where they're moving the mouse on your web pages, right? They're called heat maps. So everything essentially is being tracked today. That information is super important to everybody who owns a business, right? Because you want to know how your potential customer is behaving. What are they clicking on? What are they interested in? What kind of, do they do things certain times of day? That type of thing. So that's going to be, I think, more readily available to the masses. When in the past, it was really Google and Facebook and all the big applications, right, that they're tracking all the stuff you're doing, using that to be able to sell their services or help the people who are paying them to do ads, right? Now this stuff is actually becoming available to us, and we're going to be able to use this information. Also moving, and this has been going for a long time, is social media advertising. But it's continuing, it's a continuing trend, doing advertising on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all those different applications. Obviously, making sure you're doing it very smart and not spending. I've seen customers spend a lot of money on doing advertising, and they just like, well, I would just want to advertise this. And it's, maybe not the right ad for the right application for the audience that it's getting. Making sure you know who you're going after in social media is really important, because those ad applications that are attached to the different social media platforms do give you the opportunity to fill out forms and pick the different groups that you want to do and hone in on your real prospective customers that you're looking for. With that, video advertising is going to be getting more clout. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they really like the videos, and they are going to be pushing more content out with the video advertising. So if you're using advertising, you might want to try to move to video. Doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be on the video, but you can have videos created using graphics, using other people's videos. It could be just moving graphics with text on top of it, but something that is video related. And you're looking at that more people are using things like Instagram, and TikTok is huge, right? You see TikTok popping up all over the place. Now, like in the past, TikTok was really a younger crowd using TikTok. You would hear, I know, like my son and my nieces and nephews talking about, oh, did you see this TikTok? Now, everybody's getting on TikTok, right? So there is no ages necessarily on TikTok because it's everybody. So it's something really to look like. And I know a lot of people are like, oh no, don't make me do a TikTok. I don't want to do a TikTok. You have to figure out, where are your customers? If your customers are TikTok, or are your competitors using these type of advertising, right, in social media, then it might be something you want to go to, right? One of the other trends is focusing on conversion. Okay, so it's not just about getting your potential customers to your website. You have to then, once you get them to your website, you need to make sure you keep them on the website and you bring them on a journey, right? A journey to purchase a product or service. So you want to convert as quickly as possible each person that comes and visits your website. And how do you do that? One, knowing your customers, knowing what they're looking for, and how to bring them through a process that gets them to purchasing something. Obviously, making it user-friendly, intuitive, all that is ultra important. Also, putting things on your website that make sense to your customers. Sometimes you can have, maybe you have ads that are focused on a certain group, and you may have multiple ads, and one ad may be focused on one group and another ad is focused on another group. Obviously, it's possible that you have more than one target audience. And if that's the case, you need to think about that when you're doing your website, and how are you going to split that up to make sure that you are attracting your both target audience, if you have 2 or 3 or however that is, right? Very important to look at that, because converting that's where you're going to make the money. The other thing what adds is automation. So in the past, a lot of times you would just, okay, I'm going to place an ad on Google and see what happens, right? And you go in there and you manually add in an ad, and then, you go in and you manually check. But putting together a plan, right? A whole, in a sense, sometimes this really works into your marketing plan, and figure out, what is the campaign that I'm running? What is my end result? What am I selling? What am I want people? Maybe I just want people to sign up. Maybe I just want people to read my blog, whatever it is. How am I going to place the ads timing wise? What am I putting on the ads? What target audiences am I? And being able to put that in an application where you're automating it, you set it up, and then you just let it run. Now, of course, you want to go back and look at the stats and see how they're running, and you might have to make little tweaks. Nobody does it perfect the first time, but automating it really helps out, because most of the time our business isn't doing marketing or placing ads, right? You may be selling a total different product or service that have nothing to do with this. So you don't want to spend 20% of your time trying to set up ads, right? So automating is really going to be a thing that's going to be a time saver. And then last but not least is the newer advertising channels, right? So I did kind of talk about this before, the voice assistants. So anything in your car, having Alexa, any of those things that you ask questions to, that's going to become, I guess, even bigger in 2024. It started out in 2023, but it's moving on to 2024. Virtual and augmented reality. So I'm sure most of you have seen the advertisement in the metaverse, and even having work environments where you have like an avatar, and so you're this avatar and you're on your computer working, and your coworkers can see you, as an avatar working on your computer. Now, if you get up and go somewhere, so does your avatar, right? So it's augmented reality, right? Virtual reality. There's a lot of this stuff that's coming out now. And if it makes sense for your business, even just looking into it, right? It's another one of those. At least just look into it and see how it could maybe really push your advertising to the next level. Also, what's happening is that there's new social media platforms, and tons of those coming out all the time. I think what I'm seeing in social media platforms is a lot of times now the social media platforms may be focused to certain groups of people. And so searching out maybe social media platforms that have your group, the ones that you're looking for, you know, on there, and looking into those social media, because sometimes Facebook, you know, is kind of, you know, so many ads coming through. Maybe Facebook isn't the place for you. Maybe your audience isn't there. Well, where are they? They may be on a new social media platform or a different, God bless you, a different social media platform. So just wrapping this all up together, I said a lot of different things. There's tons of ideas that you can implement in your marketing plan for 2023, 2024, and on. I always look at saying, you know, you could do a marketing plan for the year, but you really want to do one for, you know, 2, 3, 4 year, looking out to see that if I start this now, I don't want to have to next year like totally switch and do something brand new, right? How is this going to move into the next year? So looking at all these different solutions, how can you work these into a, you know, 2 to 5 year plan and kind of build on it each, you know, each year? Maybe you just have to, you know, change little things about it and then push it through for the next year. That's it. So I would be happy to talk with any of you. I also offer a 30-minute consultation free of charge. If you have any questions or you're having challenges with your marketing plan or starting a marketing plan, feel free to set something up and I can work that through with you. So thank you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Pia. Wow, so much great information there, and it's just scratching the surface on so many things. So if anything that Pia mentioned is of interest to you to learn more or talk about, Pia is definitely a great resource for any of that. So she'll put her contact information into the chat. And once again, you know, please feel free to take advantage of having a conversation with each and every one of us. We're here to help you discover some strategies and solutions for where you're heading, especially as we start rounding out, you know, this quarter and moving into the next year. All right, let's go to our third and final speaker, Jeff. He's going to talk a little bit. We're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to touch on some technical issues, which are really important related to security. Sometimes it's overlooked because, you know, technical conversations can go over a lot of people's heads, but it's really important to kind of ground yourself in the importance of this subject. So we're going to hear from Jeff in just 1 second, and then I'm going to mention after Jeff speaks, we're going to open up the floor for a bit of a Q&A. So if any conversation you heard today, you have a question about or want a little bit more information on, or any specific thing you're dealing with you want to share and get some insight or direction from us while we're here, we'll have that opportunity. So stick around after Jeff for a little bit of that. All right, you're up, Jeff.
All right. Great. Bear with me here. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. All right, hi, my name is Jeff Severson, owner of JTS Design Inc. I've been a web developer, in business as a web developer for over 20 years. I've been in the industry for almost 25 years. And as Joshua said, I'm going to today speak about website security. It's technical, probably kind of boring, but it's also something that's very important. During my time, I've noticed that a lot of smaller businesses don't really pay much attention to website security until they need to. And it can be a very expensive endeavor. So here's why it's important. There's an estimated 30,000 websites that are hacked daily. That equates to about 11 million websites per year. 43% of those websites that are targeted are small businesses. Cyber attacks in general happen once every 39 seconds. This includes websites that are being hacked, phishing attempts, and various other cyber attacks that are out there. On average, the cost of a digital data breach in the US is $200,000. For a small business, that would be a very big hit. In fact, small businesses that suffer a digital data breach, 60% of them close their doors within 6 months. So how does this affect you? Well, first off, it can affect your brand and your reputation. If your website gets hacked and you're serving up viruses to a new customer, and their computer gets infected, you're probably going to lose them as a customer. There's also if your website is hacked and it's serving up malicious content or pornographic content or advertisements for drugs, you're probably going to lose customers with that, because there's a trust issue. Even if they're not offended by that content, it really affects the trust that they can have in your business when they see that on your website. A great example, a new business came to me some years ago on a Friday night. They were upset because their website for their beer and wine tours was serving up pornographic messaging and advertisements for Viagra and various other content that you wouldn't want a customer to see on their website. There's no telling how many potential customers they lost, but it's definitely something that could have dramatically affected their brand and their reputation. Also, it can affect your SEO, your search engine rankings. The example that I just gave is called SEO spam. It's a black hat SEO technique, and it can cause your website to be to drop in search engine rankings, or if it's not taken care of, it can get your search engine banned from the search engine. In addition, if your website is serving up malicious content, eventually Google and Bing and other search engines, they'll catch on to it. And on your search engine ranking, they will label your website as potentially being malicious. If somebody decides they're still going to click through, they can get a warning saying, hey, do you want to go to this website? Because it may be serving up malicious content. So that can have a dramatic effect on your SEO. If you're a e-commerce, if you're selling online, if you're taking donations, or if you're a company that does events where people can register online and they're paying with credit cards, if you're negligent with your security, your ability to accept credit cards can be taken away from you. You could lose your ability to have a payment gateway, and obviously that'll hurt your bottom line. And next item, it can affect your bottom line in more ways than just losing potential sales and potential customers. If you are negligent and you are taking credit card information and your website is hacked, and a hacker then has access to that credit card information, you could potentially find yourself in court, or you could be paying fines. So these are all reasons why it's important to take website security seriously. So what can you do? One of the biggest things is enforce strong password policies. Weak passwords are one of the prime vectors that hackers use to compromise websites. So it's important that you enforce strong passwords for yourself and also for all your employees. Unique passwords, you should never use the same username and password across multiple websites. Actually, there's a real world example that just broke in the news this week. 23andMe, they're kind of a competitor to Ancestry.com. They do DNA testing so that you can learn about your family history and everything. They actually had a data breach this week, and it wasn't actually due to 23andMe. It was due to their customers. Some of their customers had their data compromised in another breach with another company separate from 23andMe, and they were using the same usernames and passwords in that data breach as they were using on 23andMe. So hackers had that data from another data breach, and they were able to use those usernames and passwords and get into their 23andMe accounts and steal their DNA data. So this is a really great example of why you should always use a unique username and password on each website. Another example would be, say you have the same username and password for your website, your bank account, your Target account, your Walmart account. If one of those becomes compromised, then a hacker then has access, has the username and password for all 4 of your accounts. So it's incredibly important to use unique passwords. Strong passwords, they consist of 14 characters minimum. They should include letters and numbers. They should be upper and lowercase, and they should include symbols. So you don't want to use a password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like you would use on your luggage. You don't want to use admin or password. You want something that's unique and not a word that you pull from the dictionary. And this can help keep your online accounts more secure. Next, out-of-date software. This is also one of the common attack vectors that hackers use to compromise websites. If you're using Wix or Squarespace, this is something that you really don't have to worry about because they do this all in the background. They maintain the quality of the software and they patch any security vulnerabilities. But if you're using an open source platform like WordPress or Joomla or Drupal, it's important to keep that software up to date because they do have bugs, they do have security vulnerabilities, and they do also offer new enhancements when they release new versions to patch the bugs and security vulnerabilities. Also, any plugins or add-ons that you add to that software to extend the functionality of the core software, you want to keep those up to date as well as, and also your themes. They should be kept up to date for the same reasons. All 3 can have security vulnerabilities, they can have bugs, and they can lead to a hacker compromising your website. In addition, there's server software. This is something that your developer or your web host would be more in tune with, but it is something to be aware of. Just like your website software, server software can have bugs and it can have vulnerabilities, and they do need to be patched. So this is something that should be updated regularly as well. One thing to note, when somebody updates server software, if you have an old content management system like WordPress running on your server, it can break your website. So this is another reason why you should keep your core software up to date. Your web hosts can sometimes force you to upgrade the server software. And obviously, having a broken website is not good for your reputation. Next, 2-factor authentication. This comes in 3 forms: by email, text message, and authenticator app. How this works is when you go to log into a website, say your bank, you enter your username and password, you click submit, and then it asks you for a code, and it will either email you or text you a code, or you open up your authenticator app on your phone and you enter in that special code, and then it'll actually let you into your account. This is a great way to prevent people from compromising your accounts. For customers on 23andMe who had this enabled, they were probably protected because even though the hackers had the usernames and passwords, they didn't necessarily have access to 2-factor authentication. So having that extra level of security can help prevent people from accessing your accounts. Other considerations, firewalls. These are software that are put in place that filter out any malicious traffic before it actually reaches your website. Your web host may have server software, server firewalls in place. If you have WordPress or other open source platforms, you can install something like WordFence. This is software firewalls. And there are third-party firewalls such as Security or Cloudflare. The great thing about the third-party platforms is they generally also offer performance enhancements to your website. So you get the added benefit, you get the security and you get performance for your website. Next is CAPTCHAs. I think we've probably all seen these at some point browsing on the web. When you go to fill out a contact form, there's a field where you have to enter in random letters and numbers before you can submit the form. Or with Google reCAPTCHA, maybe there's a checkbox that you have to check off. These really help you with preventing spam in your contact forms. Spam could have phishing attempts. They could have links to malicious content. And they can also prevent brute force attacks, which is when a hacker tries to enter in hundreds, if not thousands, of usernames and passwords over and over again, trying to find a valid login. Lastly, you should always be backing up your website. If you have something like Joomla or WordPress, you're going to have files and you're going to have a database. You should always be backing those up to a third-party service like Google Drive or Dropbox. You should never depend on your web host's backups because you don't know how old how old they are. And you also don't know if they're going to charge you to restore backups. There's also third-party services like CodeGuard, where once you set up your account, it will automatically back up your website on a daily basis. It'll automatically back up your database. And if your website is ever hacked or it is broken because of a bad upgrade, generally speaking, you can just log into CodeGuard, click a button, and it'll restore the last backup of your website automatically for you. And in closing, I would just like to say that you should never consider any website to be 100% secure due to bad coding practices, due to security vulnerabilities, due to human negligence. Any website can be hacked. So it's up to us as business owners to be proactive as possible, to make our accounts and make our websites as secure as possible, because it can have an impact on the bottom line of our business. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the Q&A. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us to the end here. What a great, important conversation. If you currently are not feeling like you have an adequate, web host or developer who can handle hosting and tech and security, I definitely encourage you to reach out to Jeff, and Jeff will put his contact information there as well. Or if you just want sort of an audit of things, I'm sure Jeff would be happy to take a look and work with you. It's super important, and it can cost you a lot of headaches and a lot of money and time and reputation, as Jeff mentioned. So very good. And as promised, we're going to just open it up. We're officially done with our talks today. So thank you all for listening, and we hope you got a good taste of a few things and some of our areas of expertise and thoughts on things. If anyone came here today or as a result of being here has any questions on any content that we've covered and want to just dive in a little more with a question, or if you'd like to share a little bit about what you're sort of maybe dealing with, if you have a general question, we can definitely take care of that. If there's any questions in the chat already, I didn't look. Pia, do you have something? Your hand's up.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Adam he left, but he did post something about the AI and about not, it's not authentic and not copyrighted. Okay, so with AI and creating content using AI, because so many people are using it, no, it's not a great thing just to go in and say, okay, write me articles and write me this and write me all this stuff and just plop it on, your website or into a blog. But it is a great tool, especially when maybe you're not a great writer and you have a hard time getting started, to go ahead and ask them, say, create me something, take it, and then put your own spin on it, put your personality into it, rearrange it, make it look like more. So it's really not, in the sense of just content development, to just use it at face value. You really do have to still do a little bit of work with it to make it your own, and to make it copyrightable if you want to do something like that. So I just want to make that comment just to make sure everyone understands how AI is being used for marketing.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. It's a really important distinction to make. All right, any guests here? If you'd like to ask a question, the easiest thing to do is just raise your little virtual hand there in the reaction section of your Zoom, just so I can prioritize any questions. If that's not something you're able to do, I guess you could come off mute if you'd like to and just introduce yourself, hear a little bit about what had you come here today, and how maybe you might need some support. Okay, and while we're waiting for anyone who might ask a question, I'd like to post two things in the chat, just because people sometimes, if they don't have a question, they want to drop off, but I want to make sure we get this. The first thing I'm going to post is we do appreciate feedback, so we have a survey, a very brief survey that helps us to, you to give any input on what you heard here today. And give us some insight so we can improve these kind of events. We do these sort of events once a week. We have webinars like this, we have Q&As specifically for questions and answers, and we have other types of panel discussions on these kinds of things. So just feel free to check out the survey and give us your feedback. I see Travis has got his hands up. Travis, something you want to share?
Well, actually, I have. Hello, everyone. I don't have anything to share. I just have questions to ask.
Go for it. What's your first question?
Okay. I am starting a new program, and from what I've just received, that having a website it creates a dangerous situation for you financially and professionally. At the same time, if you're accepting credit cards or debit cards via that, that could be dangerous. So my real question is if, for Jeff and for, I think it's Brent, not Pia. Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Could you all put your direct name of your company and then a contact so I can connect with you? Because that's something I have to create anyway.
Absolutely. That's the best way is to get any questions answered is to get in a call with us where we can really talk to you one-on-one. I'm also going to put a link here in the chat to our directory. So you'll have everybody's contact information in one spot. I would encourage everybody to click on that last link I just posted and just have it open just in case when you leave here today, you miss the chat, you'll have access to us. Is there anything that general questions, Travis, that we could just answer for today, just while you're here? I don't want to get too in the weeds with stuff, but if you have any high level questions, we're happy to take the time to do that. Otherwise, definitely book calls is my advice.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I just know that I have to create a website, and I have a website created because I ain't gonna do it, to be honest. I need some help.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Perfect. Yeah. And we can definitely, that's why we offer the one-on-ones, because it's like everybody has a unique situation. There's so many different factors in what you're creating, Travis, than what the next person is. And there's no one size fits all. There's no blanket solution for everybody. You might be sold that by others telling you they've got the solution, but I'll tell you from my 15 years, everyone's unique, everyone's different. Everybody has different considerations. And when you have a web developer who asks questions and gets to know your situation and provides independent, non-biased, honest answers, and for your answers, that's a real partner for you to have. So that's why we do this too, is to kind of demonstrate how we have that approach. We call it a done with you model. We work hand in hand with our clients. So thanks, Travis, for opening up the floor. Anybody else? Don't be shy. As you can see, we're very friendly. Brenda, come off mute. Want to hear from you. There we go.
My question is for Sue. The owner of the company is from New York, a huge Yankee fan. And someone said once that having that Yankee Cup behind him, living in California is not good. Is it that sensitive that, your environment could turn a group of clients, potential clients off?
It could be. So what happens is that, people relate to people. So they buy from them. So, if someone doesn't like your team, some people are more serious about that than others. Some are diehard fans. So depending on who your client is, yes, doesn't mean you have to be neutral about everything. If you're a fan and you want to be a fan, that's fine. And you can, you can even joke around about it and say, hey, even though I'm in California, I'm a diehard Yankees fan. I'm sure there's a few out here. Maybe I can find them. So there's things that they can do to acknowledge that. But there's some people who are. It kind of goes the same for politics, especially a couple of years ago. A lot of people were divided with when they started putting politics. In general, you have to look at who your audience is and what they need. And what you want to be able to do is they're buying from you. And so you want to attract those kind of customers. So if you say, you know what, I don't even want a customer who's offended that I have a Yankees thing because one, I just found it. I just use it as water. I don't even need it. So sometimes it's not intentional. So I would say is you have to look to see who you're trying to attract as a client. What's important to them. Obviously, if you're in the sporting world and you have something Yankees, that's going to be big. If you're in California and you have the Yankees, doesn't mean there's not Yankees fans there, but it's not New York either. So So it can be. So then that's a great question, because it's little things that sometimes you don't even notice.
Mhm.
But that kind of goes also to when you put images and visuals in your site, you want to make sure that it is intentional. So you want to make sure that the pictures that you're using represent the type of client. So if you have a older clientele, you want to make sure that the people who you have in your photos are that and not real young people, because then when people come to the site, if I see someone real young, I'll be like, oh, this must be for my kids. Like, so
Yeah.
the visuals make a big difference.
Mhm. Thank you.
Sure.
Great question. Yeah, probably very overlooked thing, but we're always making what I call value judgments, or we're making these psychological assessments of our surroundings. And if something in our brain says this isn't right in any way, we might get that feeling that that we don't want to work with someone. It's just the way we're wired. So like Sue said, when your web presence is really thought through and someone sees it, that first impression, you can either lose them or you can gain them in that one moment. So it's really critical to think through some of these things that maybe wouldn't otherwise be an afterthought. But thanks, Brenda. And anything else, Brenda? You don't have to, just want to make sure you're totally heard. And you're on mute just in case. Yeah, you're on mute, Brenda.
Yes, this would be for Jeff. So our website is on WordPress. So are you not a fan of WordPress, or you just want to be cautiously using WordPress?
No, I'm actually a big fan of WordPress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, open source platforms like WordPress, they give you the customer, the business, they give you a lot of flexibility to basically do what you want. But just like you have Windows installed on your computer, or you have Microsoft Office installed on your computer, open source platforms, you have to be aware that they do have updates that you do need to apply because of security vulnerabilities. So I definitely encourage open source like WordPress, because you actually own your website.
Mhm.
So the only reason why I mentioned like Wix and Squarespace and the build your own website platforms is because they are a service that you're subscribing to, and they take care of all those updates in the background, and you don't have to be aware of them. But if you're using something open source, just like you're supposed to keep your computer up to date, you should be keeping your open source software up to date.
Okay, thank you.
Another great question. Thank you, Brenda. Anybody else here? Just going to leave it up for a few minutes, a few more seconds here. If anyone wants to come off mute, raise your hand, raise your virtual hand. Now's a chance. Otherwise, I think what I'll do as well is I will post another link for anyone who's interested and wants a little bit more in terms of information. We have next week, next Wednesday, we have our monthly panel discussion. The subject is called Getting More Leads Online. So if anybody's interested in ways and tools and techniques specifically to increase either attracting potential clients or converting once you have them on your web presence clients, that's the nature of that conversation. Sometimes little tweaks and changes can make a big difference. So we'll have a few webhead panelists there discussing in a little bit different format, a little more conversational format, some of those things. Other than that, if I see no other questions, we will wrap it up.
I was going to say, one of the things maybe is good to talk about, especially if there's not a lot of questions, is, where do you start? So if you say, like some people say, okay, we talk about, is your website not working? What does that really mean? So one of the things that I brought up in mind, but we talk about is, is it converting? So are you getting, emails, calls? Is your website working for you? And what working means is that you're getting lead generation from it. So the other topic is similar, but all of the website has to be updated, it has to have the information. So one of the things is, if you don't know, it's great to reach out to one of the professionals or to ask someone to take a look at your site to see if it's doing what you need, because sometimes you're close and you don't know. And so the planning piece of it is important. It's also like the budget. People say, oh, how much to spend? Well, it depends. How much does a house cost? So you can be in any budget. So you want to be realistic, but you have to look at the price of your end product and what your sales process looks like, that kind of stuff. So one of the places to start is to really look at is to say, is my website working for me? Am I getting leads? Does it have the right information? When I present my information to someone, is my website reflecting that? I had a client who was basically a consultant, but he thought he was selling things. And we totally revamped it. And now the website basically follows the same process that he was doing with his presentations, but he didn't even realize that it wasn't the same. So it's good to get a separate set of eyes to look at it, ask some questions. You can ask some other professionals. But that's so the whole thing of what we're all talking about is, it can come from a security standpoint. There's a lot of different pieces, but what you want to make sure that is the website doesn't have to have a ton of bells and whistles, but you want to make sure that what's there is working. You have good calls to action and you're seeing results. So I encourage you to talk to someone here or even ask someone who say, hey, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? The competitive research is important as well. So we just want to make sure sometimes people just don't know where to start, because that's the hard part, admitting that you have a problem.
It's true. It's true. And trying to figure things out for yourself is like slamming your head against the wall sometimes. We've all been there. So that's another reason why we have our done with you model, because we know it's a collaborative effort to really get things done, and you're unique. So yeah, thanks for adding that, Sue. Any final comments? Just want to make sure, any webheads, any non-webheads, just want to make sure everybody's heard, everybody takes advantage and gets the most out of today. If nothing, then I'll just say on behalf of all of us webheads, we thank you so much for being here with us today. Please come back to one of our future events. If you'd like to share and spread the words, we're pretty out there on Alignable and other platforms, and connect with us if you want to. Thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, thanks.